Welcome to Burn the Rules with Chet Hirani. This podcast is for people who know leadership isn't about titles, noise, or ticking boxes. It's about how you think, how you show up, and how you perform when pressure is real. I'm Chet Hirani, and I work with leaders and high performers across business, sport, and life all over the world who want to take control of how they lead and perform. Not by copying someone else's rules, but by understanding themselves first. Every conversation here is grounded in experience, reflection, and practical insight. So if you're ready to question what leadership has been taught to be and decide what it means for you, you're in the right place. In this episode, I'm joined by Danial Kaabi, a maritime entrepreneur and offshore service executive based in Qatar, best known for building Horizon Offshore Marine Services from the ground up. With deep experience across vessel operations, joint ventures, and large-scale energy projects, Danial works at the intersection of strategy and execution, turning ambitious ideas into working fleets. He's passionate about leadership, relationship building, and creating high-performance teams in complex environments. Beyond business, Danial is on a personal journey of growth through fitness, endurance racing, and storytelling, often sharing real-world lessons from the bridge to the boardroom. His work focuses on building resilient companies and resilient people. So let's get right into it. Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, doing very well. Where are we connecting from?
I am currently in Dubai.
Yeah, so if nobody knows, Dan and I have known each other for what? We've known each other for about, a couple of years now? Or is it about a year?
Couple
Feels
of
so
years.
long. Yeah?
I think it's a little more than 1 year.
Yeah, we
Thanksgiving
connected.
24.
Yes, it was. Thanksgiving, that's it, wasn't it? Yep. Fond memories of that evening. It was a Thanksgiving.
Very thankful. I'm very thankful.
Absolutely, it was. First of all, great to have you here on Burn the Rules and podcast with me. I really appreciate you being here. I just want to just kick things off and just basically just ask you, yeah, what's been busy with you lately?
A lot, actually. So it's a good question. We've, to say the least, honestly, everything. What has not been busy, right? I mean, work, of course, we have 2 companies, 2 offices, Qatar and UAE. So the traveling of back and forth between Qatar and UAE. We have had some short staff issues in both offices, putting up with business-wise, covering ground for both offices. We have some amazing projects that are 16 months away. So taking 16 months to prepare for that. But also personally, you have all these things going on, but there's still family. I still have 2 kids and, a wife to keep happy. So yeah, so everything,
Yeah.
literally.
No. It does sound like there's quite a lot going on there. But before we go into actual with you internally and everything about you, Dari, tell the listeners, what is it that you do? What does the company do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to give you a gist of things, is Horizon Offshore Marine Services is, I guess you could, for lack of a better word, you could say it's my baby, first baby, I guess.
I was going to say, huh?
But no, I've been in a legacy of shipping for past since the early 1980s, and my entire family was always in shipping, and
Mhm.
they had their own twist on it. They had their own way of it on it. So in 2022 now, actually, I wanted to make my own version of a offshore marine service company to support the offshore oil and gas sector, specifically in Qatar. Obviously, it's a very difficult because then if you're technically a startup and you bring a company into the atmosphere of Qatar energy, you're not gonna get far. But what we specialized in is partnerships. So we bring a lot of partners from outside of the Middle East or even Qatar specifically and partner with them and support them locally within Qatar Energy. Recently, we signed a very nice joint venture with some partners out of India, and which we're very proud of. And by the time this will come out, we can say, yes, we've been awarded 2 contracts with Qatar Energy for 20 plus years. So that's the business side.
Fantastic. Wow.
So for the next
Amazing.
20 years, we will be very busy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you, obviously for the next 20 years you'll be busy. So I'm assuming the kids will also be taking over eventually when dad can't sort of do
That's
much.
the plan. That's the plan. I was doing that. We were doing the plan, and I was doing the calculations, and I'm like, oh my God, I will be 60. Actually, no, I wouldn't. One of the projects, I'll be 60 because it's more than 20 years. But yeah, so that means my kids will be 30. So it's,
There you go.
yeah,
Perfect age.
yeah,
What, a few more gray hairs for you as well?
yeah, they're coming by the day. If I
Oh,
have
got
hair.
it. Yeah. Well, there's that too as well. Of course. Of course, that's true. Absolutely. No, no, definitely. So tell us a little bit more. So that's about your, obviously, this is your baby, first baby, should we say. There's a lot of pressures and demands going with this sort of role, right? You're the CEO of Sea Horizons Offshore Marine. Yeah.
Yeah.
You run this on a daily basis. Yes, you have a team behind you. But there's challenges that come with it on a daily basis, I'm sure, with it all. But before we dive into that, you mentioned, and obviously for the benefit of the listeners as well, you're based in Qatar. Okay.
Yes.
Your accent is not a Qatari accent.
Mhm.
Okay. So just want to give us a little bit about a background about you as well, in terms of obviously how it all formulated, because this is clearly what you've mentioned as well. Is you've created this business off almost like a family legacy business as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Canada, right? I was born in Tehran during the Iran-Iraq War, and my parents saw how dangerous obviously it is, and given the situations in Iran back then, the Middle East was not as developed as it is today. So shipped us off to Canada. Grew up there in Toronto, where I want to be a sports agent. I think I've said this a couple of times
Yeah.
before, but it's true.
Yeah.
My passion was to be a sports agent. Did everything I could. And then my father's like, no, 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 no. You will not do anything that has to do with anything else other than maritime. Came in, really did not like it because it wasn't much of an attractive thing to me. But then I feel like if you create your own, you're kind of forced to like it because it's basically it's like swimming, right? You just jump in and figure it out.
Jump in the
And
deep end.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's really honestly what it took for me to actually like it. Now I laugh at those sports agent
Yeah.
dreams, but it's fun. I mean, in some ways you can compare it, right? As a sports agent, you represent an athlete who you can't control their emotions, can't control their financial spending, you can't control anything. So as what we do at Sea Horizon, we represent companies, and every company has different pillars, different members. So you have to now you're representing many individuals. So that has its own fun stuff, and you create a lot of good relationships into it.
Yeah. It's interesting when you said that, because it is like being a sports agent, you're representing brands, and the brand is the business, which is the actual athlete themselves as well, because they are a business technically. And then you're doing exactly the same thing. With that being said, what does your role directly demand on a day-to-day basis?
24/7 standby. That's the
Yeah.
best way. I like to play a role, to be honest with you, to empower everyone around me. I think I'm a big believer in don't have people around you if you don't fully trust them or believe in them. Right? I'm more of a support. A lot of people we say CEO, but CEO is three letters, right? And every company, their CEO is different. You have the CEO that focuses on sustainability, ESG, then a finance-driven CEO, but a CEO just a leader, right? So as a leader, you want to empower your people as much as possible. The better they do, the easier your life is, right?
Yeah.
And
That's
nobody
ultimately the
nobody
main
does
decision.
yeah, nobody does a good job of if someone's just on top of them and continuously, nitpicking and doing this. It's having giving the freedom to people is, in my opinion, to be honest, it could be detrimental because someone with too much freedom and makes mistakes, but then the accountability still falls on you. But I mean, it's a risky thing that you have to sometimes do because then you hope they learn
Well,
from
yeah,
their
I mean, you're
mistakes.
obviously you're gonna get people. Yeah, you are. You're gonna get people who are gonna take the piss.
Or not
And
even on purpose.
yeah,
There's a lot of
that's true.
people that will just, in their mind, this is a fantastic idea. But I see a lot of situations, right, in organizations that are around us. So we're not obviously we're not corporate. We're more of a startup. But I see big corporations who really, really, micromanage, which is crazy because it's like 4,000 people. So why do you pay 4,000 people salaries? And they really micromanage, and the employee that's under it will always say, like, you know what, I'm always being micromanaged. I can't go left without this. I can't go right.
Mm.
But then you take some of these people, not specific to my industry, by the way, but you take
Yeah. Okay.
someone, but you take someone, and then some people are so sighted that it's like, okay, I want to get this deal. I mean, a lot of times I go like, oh my God, it's like you see a carrot go. And then you realize that the afterthought, the risk factor, and everything that comes out after that, then who's taking accountability?
Mm.
So,
Mm.
so I say this to say that I understand when big companies have a lot of micromanaging that they do on their employees, but at the same time, it's why'd you hire them? If you're confident in hiring the people that you hire, let them grow.
It's true, but then there's accountability as well, but then there's also taking the responsibility of these of all the actions. We talk about the corporate world and or corporate companies, and you said 4,000 roughly people micromanaging. It's a lot of people to micromanage for starters, yeah. And then you've got people who are complaining about being burnt out. Well, you're doing it to yourself. You're not doing, yeah. I mean, you're your worst own enemy when it comes to things like that, because most of the time you're not taking responsibility of certain situations. And this is where all accountability side comes from. And you're going to more or less likely get more people who are going to take the piss.
Of course, we've had many conversations about this. I've seen experiences, I've had experiences of that.
Mm,
But I mean, especially in today's day and age where it's so easy to get stuff done.
yeah. Yeah. So true.
ChatGPT,
Yeah.
OpenAI, and you
Gosh.
have so many resources.
No, so true.
Now 90% of the emails I receive is an overly written explanation on, "Can I get a vacation day?"
Yeah.
Or you know
It's
what I
true.
mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like what it could be one line, but it's
Yeah.
like you're reading the whole
And there's some magic
essay.
words that appear on it, right? That they've never said in their life before. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. It's yeah. Yeah. Trust me. You can
Yeah.
really tell.
Yeah, of course. Nowadays, you can definitely tell an AI driven copy and paste email over a true human written email, so to speak. Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so when you talk to me, tell me a little bit more about you're the CEO of this company. Okay, now you said initially at the beginning the CEO is just the title. I mean, we've known each other for a little while. I know the way you operate, but I really want to hone in on that specific area of expectation. Yeah. Because there is a lot of expectation for somebody who's got CEO as a job title, regardless. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because there's always going to be expectation because there's a reason why those three letters are there. Okay. But it's what you do with those three letters. Okay. Or the three words, should we say. Yeah. It's abbreviated into three letters. But tell me and tell the listeners a little bit more about like what pressure do people not see when they look at your position?
I mean, firstly, to be honest, the funny thing about being a CEO is I've heard a lot of times where I don't know if it's a compliment or not. Definitely not a compliment, but but I laugh at it. Is a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a CEO. You don't look like a CEO." I'm like, "Well, first of all, what does a CEO look like?"
Fair enough.
Because we have this vision, this idea in our mind that a CEO is always this tall guy that sleeps in a suit. You're lucky. I dressed up today for you. Yeah, usually in
Thanks.
this office, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt or a
Yeah.
polo,
Yep.
unless there's meetings or a conference. But everyone has this vision of what a CEO is, when in reality, a CEO is just a job title. Yes, of course, with a lot of responsibilities. But at the end of the day, I believe we're all human, right? I
Hmm.
believe that, you can be a CEO by day and someone that enjoys the movies at night. Like, but people, I think, have this misconception of what a CEO is and how they're supposed to act in every situation. Like, and every like how they hold their fork and knife, or how they shake hands, how they look in your eyes when they're having a conversation. The title of the CEO automatically puts a thought process in the other person's mind that a lot of people don't realize how different it is. You get immediately judged. It's a different type of judging, right? It's a different type of discrimination. Not
Yeah,
discrimination,
but
but
it's
you're
a
put in a box
stereotype.
right away. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
stereotype. You're
yeah,
put in a box right away where it's like, "Hi, I'm the CEO," and it's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, but what are you apologizing
yeah,
for? I'm
exactly.
nobody, right?" And like and you know me, I mean, we've had many conversations where I like to crack jokes, and like I remember I was with the CEO of a big company. I cracked a joke, and everyone's like, oh my god," and he laughed. Oh my god, he knows how to laugh. Like, of course, because he's human at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it's not the first time he's laughed.
Yeah. But to go to your thing, I mean, what do people don't see? People see the LinkedIn posts, people see the emails, people see whatever the conferences that we speak at or I speak at, but they don't see, I mean, like how the fact that you're with your children, you're supposed to be spending time with your children. I mean, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and instead I'm sitting here and holding the phone. It's in my opinion, and based on my role as a CEO, you're supposed to protect your people. And there's a lot of leaders that in any industry that will put the blame on their people, and they won't lead. It's like, you made a mistake, no, blah blah. They hammer down on them. But at the end of the day, the biggest way you can describe what they people don't see is the extent you go through to protect your people.
Would you
Because
say
in my
that's
opinion,
yeah,
if my people are stress-free, worry-free, happy, they're gonna perform,
yeah,
right?
fundamentals, right?
Exactly. And that's what, because like, we shield so much. So me, for example, I'm a this is also a negative thing in my opinion, but like I will hold things in to a point where, like, to make sure my people are protected. Like if something's happening, it's like I try to fix it myself, because at the end of the day, you want the freedom of your people. If your people are happy, they come into work, they're happy, they're excited, they're good, they know that they're gonna be protected, and they know that, I'm not unfortunately, because we're only 4 years old, we're not a brand like Apple. People work for Apple because of the logo, right? Because it looks cool. People will work for me and with me because of the relationship we built together, right?
Yeah,
The relationships are everything.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Do you think that's interesting because you touched on a couple of points there. We were talking about what pressure do people not see, but do you think that's pressure that you're providing within yourself, though, in terms of protecting your people? And if it is the pressure, like how are you managing that internally for your own sake? Because you also touched on the fact that you've got your family, and you're definitely a 100%. I know you love your family. You're a family man. They come first, no matter what, in that respect. Yeah, but you also and you do this. You treat your staff as family as well. Yeah,
I've seen it.
yeah, you celebrate their birthdays. You praise them as much as you possibly can. Yeah, but do you find you also is that some sort of pressure that almost becomes an expectation from you as well?
Listen, yes, I think there's points where it gets extremely unhealthy, right? Because for example, it's like you're at work, you're dealing with all the stuff that you're trying to shield. You're shielding all day.
Yeah,
But then
yeah,
when
yeah,
you have a bad day, you come home, you see your wife, your kids, they haven't seen you all day. And then you have to shield your whole thing from that.
yeah.
Now, how I get rid of it, how I actually get things done, and the best thing is why I go to the gym every morning. And I know we're gonna get to high rock, because I did. I don't know if you know this, but the whole world knows it by now. I did high rocks.
I think I know he did high rocks. I'm following you continuously.
But I mean, working out is my you see this all the time, and it's my biggest therapy. And a lot of people tell me like, you don't look like you work out, because I also eat like a thief. But
You that too. Yeah, we know that.
But I work out. The first thing I do when I wake up is I work out, and it could be a walk, it could be anything, and for me, it's more mental than anything.
Like
Like,
an
you
outlet as
know,
well, right? You just let everything out
exactly.
as well. Yeah.
Like it gives you a time to listen to music if you're alone and not with your trainer, but or just sweat and feel good. And I feel like when I work out, excuse me, I can challenge anything throughout the day. Anything that comes at me, all the stresses, I can challenge. I've had days where I don't work out and I'm just like, oh no, I can't do this. Like, challenge here, challenge there, and you're like, no, I can't do this.
You know, it's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
I noticed that about me as well. I tend to, well, when I say I tend to, I work out every single day. I have to go to the gym every single day. But for the past few months, January, February, it's been a bit of a strange start to the year, personally, for various reasons, which stopped me from going to the gym. And as soon as I stopped going to the gym, fuck me, mentally, I was screwed. Yeah. Apart from everything else that's going on, and you stop something that's keeping you at this state, and you're then blaming that I can't do this because everything else is going on, you are just really screwing yourself up it's just a recipe for disaster, right? In that situation. Only until my wife, she said to me, she goes, you need to go back to the gym. I was like, why? She was like, you just need to go back to the gym. I went back to the gym within 24 hours. She turned around to me. She goes, you're a lot more happier now, aren't you? I was like, "Ooh." I didn't have to say a word. It was just the mood that came in. And we obviously, we do different lines of work, demands in so many various ways, but it is the outlet that is such an important factor when people take that for granted, because it's a case of like, I say I go to the gym, you go to the gym, you work out every single day. It's almost like releasing pressure in a pressure cooker. You're letting the steam out a little bit, and you're able to do all those sort of things to feel good about yourself. But ultimately, we got to make sure that we are always at this peak state, because when we drop this level of state, that's not the place to be. Athletes say the same thing. They do it day in, day out. So many people turn around and say, well, they can do it because they've got all the trainers, they've got all the financial backing. You don't need money to do these sort of things. You can just basically do anything. You have the outdoors, right? That's for free. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, there's been days where I've even woken up and gone for a walk for 45 minutes, listening to a podcast, came back feeling great because you get the fresh air, you're walking, your heart rate's going a little high. And what are you doing when you're at the gym or even walking? You're thinking, right? You're prepping, you're preparing your day, you're preparing everything. So by the time you start showering, getting ready for work, you've already prepared your whole day. You already know how you're going to approach this situation, that situation. Instead of, as opposed to waking up at an alarm, going straight to the washroom, showering, getting ready. Now you're on your way to work. You're way behind because then you could have woken up and done this and planned your day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's so true. And then I recorded something, as another episode that came out, and it was more about saying the issues and the problems, and the main problems that we actually face is the noise, because when people say things like, I don't have the time, you're a CEO. Why, how on earth do you have time to do X, Y, and Z, right? You have a responsibility. You're a busy guy. There are moments I've messaged you and I've not heard from you for months, but you're a
Sorry.
busy guy. Yeah. You're a busy guy. I totally understand it. But but that's how you deal with things. That's how you prioritize things. You may come across a message here and you're like, I don't need to reply to this person. It's okay for now. I'll get back to it. Yeah. I'll give our listeners a classic example of what happened. Yeah. I messaged this guy, Dan, Happy New Year. Yeah. He's off to High Rocks, which we'll get back to. Right. I said, all the best in the High Rocks. And then he messages me back, responds back, goes, holy shit, I didn't realize I missed this message. We're talking about 6 to 7 weeks later. Right. But
Listen,
that's what I
there's
mean.
so a lot of times, like, you're having a bad day, and I'll be honest here. You're having a bad day and you're just done the day and you're with the kids and you receive a message and you're like, I'll get to it tomorrow. And then at 6 a.m. you wake up and you receive 30 other messages, and then you completely forget about that message. That's why I was like, oh my God, you did wish me. And you're like, yes, you did see it. When I'm like, I didn't see that. Yeah, yes, you did. I'm like, no, I actually didn't. But I don't know if I have or haven't. But I ended up seeing it and replying to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? In all honesty, I've got into a habit, and I used to do quite a lot of that as well. I used to miss them, but I intentionally now on WhatsApp, I turn things into unread, and then I'll get a moment where I'll go back and actually just filter the unread, and I'll see, is there anybody there? Or if I've messaged somebody and I know that I mean, if it's work related, most of the time, if it's work related or for those reasons, I'll just mark it unread because I know I'm going to have to go back to that person. Yeah. And I just got
Yeah.
into the habit of doing that. And the fact that when you have these apps now on our laptops and everything, it makes the world so much easier for us, honestly, rather than just being on your phone because you're just away from your phone. You don't need to worry about that.
It makes it easy, but at the same time, like I have an Apple Watch and I live by this Apple Watch.
Yeah.
But I find it, I found it a little, I hate it because I look so rude because I got all my notifications on there. And I got like probably 13 group chats of the company on there. And so like ding ding. And so every time you're like, and the person you're seeing like, oh, do you have to go? I'm like, no, it's okay. And then I'm like, just pressing to cancel notification, and it's horrible because because if your hand vibrates, you have to look. Like it's subconsciously, you have to look. Obviously, it's on silent right now, which is why I haven't looked.
That's right.
So
I've got his full attention for once.
yeah, so this is why I just didn't want the entire podcast to be me like this. Well, yeah, no.
That's good. We could have done something like that. We could have counted how many times you actually look at your iWatch every time it pings off. But have a little count going on. Okay, so this is interesting. So I mean, I want to talk a little bit more about sort of the expectations of the role, um, how it's affected on a personal level. What would you say is probably the hardest part of the responsibility that you have within your business?
Not managing expectations, right? You The thing about that weighs the heaviest is being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Your word is the final word. I'm not saying for people, right? For
Mm-hmm.
anyone.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
People can say, okay, no, this is gonna happen. That's gonna happen. But being in situations where as a leader, you have to say, okay, this is gonna happen then. And then managing that expectation, because the worst thing you can do, like if you lose money, you can get it back, right? But then losing that and telling someone, anyone in life, whether it's life or work or anything, and telling them, listen, I will do this, and then you'll never get that back. In my opinion, and I've experienced it. I can easily tell you on purpose, whether it's my wife, done this many times to my wife, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's my wife or with some very loyal clients of ours, it's difficult. It's tough, right? But it's not because you don't want to. Not because we don't have a but things happen, this happens, that happens, and juggling. So I think the biggest challenge is managing expectations. If you are expected for everything you say will happen exactly the way you say it. And the world is always moving. Things are always changing, right? And then you see it then in the future with your kids, where now my kids are at an age where they remember. So my daughter says, tomorrow we need to go to Legoland. And I say, yeah, sure. And tomorrow comes and she wakes me up and goes, we're going to Legoland. It's like, oh no. But then I promised that person that I have to see them for lunch to discuss something work. And then it's like, who do I disappoint first? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully for her, but I mean, it's been always them, not my daughter. But then you have to make up for it, right? And things like that. Just I think as a leader, you always have to commit. And, and sometimes that's a challenge because even if you commit to your word, you have to go through it somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, so true. So, Sea Horizon Offshore Marine Services, you said, it's been running for 4 years. Yeah. How has it been? How's the 4 years been?
You know, a roller coaster that goes down, 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 maybe up a couple of times. But listen, it's a complete roller coaster. It's when you start a company, it's nothing like what you thought it would be. You don't watch movies or TikTok or Instagram reels on after 5 p.m. banging their head against the wall, wondering what they're gonna do tomorrow. Right? It's been an amazing journey. Would I always do it? Of course, 1,000%. I mean, I'd do it again in a heartbeat because it's I've learned so much, I've grown so much, I've uh I've established so much. But the beautiful part about it is when you have your own company, when you start your own business, the smallest wins become amazing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like it could be like I don't know, just something, and you're just so thankful for it. It's like because it's like you did this. Like when you see even like your logo somewhere, and you're like, wow, like
yeah,
I did that. Like that's my logo in front of all these people. Like when you see the name of your company that you made the name of in like an award letter, and it's like it's these things. But like, I mean, and then there's the troubles. There's managing the people. It's like I told you, you have to protect your people, and I've had days where I've literally driven in my car for 4 hours with no destination, just thinking, and then realizing that I'm out of gas, so then I have to pump gas. And then that's when I realized I'm like, I gotta go, but just thinking. And these are things that like I try not to show to anyone because the last thing you want as a employee is like, oh, if he's stressed, then what should we be worried about? But it comes with it. It comes with it. Startups. I mean, thankfully, I'm in a different position in a startup because the family's been in this for a while. Sea Horizon is my extension, but startups are not easy. Nobody tells you that.
they
Nobody
don't.
tells you. Nobody
They don't. I mean,
tells you that.
that's why one of the ones from a startup perspective, obviously, is that um, there's some crazy stat where 90% of them actually fail, or something crazy like that, right? But that's the interesting part, okay? Because even though when we say 90% of startups fail, nobody's actually telling you how and why they've failed. Yeah, everyone just
Yeah.
focused on the 10%. That's all. It's probably less than 10%, to be honest, that have succeeded. And that's all you ever hear, but you never hear about the failed ones or what's gone wrong in them or what have you learned from it all, you know? But that's interesting. Did you ever have any doubters of when you started this for yourself?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
did I have any believers? My own partner doubted.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more
In
about that.
Qatar,
And
I
yeah,
mean, setting up in Qatar, obviously, it was so for those that don't know, you need a 51% shareholder to partner to develop in Qatar. And when I told him I mean, he's thankfully for me, he's been a friend for a while, and I was like, let's do this. He's like, no, 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 no. He's like, no, this is too risky. It won't work. It's very hard. He doubted, but I convinced him. I mean, today I wouldn't say we're as successful as we want to be, but then again, who will tell you that at any time, right? But I think the only reason we made it this far is because you have to be so delusional that it's gonna work and somehow you arrive here,
yeah.
right?
It's that
And that's what
obsessiveness,
worked.
right? Yeah. You have
Exactly.
to be
Like
seriously obsessed.
oh no, no, obsessed. Well, there's a quote I always say, and I wish it was a quote that was kind of famous, but I think success is the exact equilibrium of delusion and hard work. So it's in between. If you're so delusional and you do a little bit of hard work, you'll get somewhere. And that's what I think made it. I think everyone that was like, no, I don't think you should. My own father, he's like, don't do it. And I was like, and that's just a young guy being like, oh, whatever, I'll do it. I'll show you. Even
Mm.
when going to Qatar, all my friends in Qatar are like, don't do it. You will not. Qatar it's not. It takes patience, and you have to build trust,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, of
I was like,
course.
no, no, no. I was like, no, 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 I'll do it. I'll do it. So delusional. And then you come to a point where the delusion sometimes winds down, but then you're like, oh, well, I made it this far. Might
Oh
as
yeah.
well just see this out, right? Might as well just see this thing out. I made it this far.
Yeah.
Might as well just let this let's see how it plays out, right? It's not like I'm gonna die from this, right?
But then you also think, what's next after that, I guess.
No, I didn't get to that level yet. It's
No?
always been delusion. Well, we're here. We might as well ride it out. And then back to delusion because you see a spark, and then it's
So you're
like,
still
okay, well,
delusional.
we're yeah, yeah. You argue with. I like a delusional person. You argue with yourself a lot of time,
Yeah.
but that's what it is. I mean, yes, there was doubters. Even people joining the company at the beginning, people that I've hired, are like, "This is what I want to do," and they're like, are you sure?" I'm like, I believe that there is an opening for this kind of business and this in Qatar. No, are you sure? Yes. Okay, I'll try it. And they joined. Some of them have still been here. They're still with us. And now we've progressing and we have some successful moments, you have some non-successful moments. But you stick it through. Everyone has good times and bad times, right?
Yeah.
But if you're delusional enough that you're gonna get back to the good times, you're always gonna be good.
Has there ever been any breaking points,
Of
personal
course.
breaking points for you?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's personal breaking points that I can remember, but I do remember there's many times where like I've just called my parents. So I go to the gym at like 5 a.m., right? But I remember like one day just waking, I couldn't sleep, right? So like I'm like, thank God my gym's 24 hours.
It's a
But
nice gym. By the way, his gym, by the way, the pool is the gym, if anybody's looking at his Instagram.
But I remember waking up at 3 a.m. and then I just went for a drive to the gym, and it was just so many emotions, right? Like you wake up at 3 a.m. and then you're like, because I sleep at like 9:30. When my daughter falls asleep, I pass out, and then you're on the way to the gym and like and it's quiet. 3 a.m. It's dark. Half the people are coming home from partying. The other half of the people, I don't know where they're driving to. Maybe they're going out to eat. And I was just on my way to the gym, and I just got so deep in my head about these thoughts and like everything that's going on. Like, what if there's like so much uncertainty, so much this of certain situations of like, it was at a time where like we were going through such a major transition and it was like 20 different moving parts. And I was just so overwhelmed. And it's like this person needs an answer, that person needs an answer, this person needs an answer. And at the same time, like I said, it's like you're trying to protect your people. But now all these people are coming straight to you. So you got to answer to them. And I just had a breaking point, and it was very frustrating. It was very obviously I was like I was shocked. When you're like so overwhelmed with emotion that you're just shocked. But I had a great workout after it. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
It was
So you
probably one
didn't
of
let
the
it
best
continue.
workouts.
You didn't let it linger though until like it didn't affect you on a personal level at home or anything like that, because you hear a lot of those sort of things too, right?
I don't let it affect me at home. One thing I had made a promise to my wife when we first got married is that I wouldn't do it. Right. Now I love my family. I'm grateful for the family I had growing up. Like it's nothing like that. But I did see growing up that my dad was in the business, and there were days where he wouldn't come out of his room, right? And it would affect the whole family. And me, it's so funny because back then I'd be like, what's wrong with him? Everything's gonna be fine. Like, what's he worried about? Like, let's go do something. And growing up seeing that, the pressure he put on himself, and I think that's probably why I am the way I am, because my dad put so much pressure on himself. Like I told you, there'd be like we lived in Canada, he lived in Dubai. There would be times where I'd come visit him for 2 weeks, and for the first week he'd be in his room just sleeping. Because in his mind, he's like, you know what, just sleeping will get this to go away. Right. And then like he's always thinking. And then when we'd go out to eat, he's always thinking. So me telling my wife that made me promise her, like, you will not do that. You will not do that. So one thing I do is I make sure that the moment I walk in the house, it's all out. Sometimes it's hard, you know? Sometimes my wife will look at me and I'll be at the dinner table and I'll just be like this and she'll just slap me. She's like, not in front of the kid. But you know, it's very hard and but I use my vices, I use my exits. Like sometimes I go on a bike ride, listen to a
Best thing, right?
podcast, you know. Yeah, go on a bike ride or just play PlayStation. I'm a very big nerd. I will play a lot of Call of Duty because then you take your anger out on
Yeah.
that.
There's a lot of
But
button bashing, isn't it, in that one as well?
exactly, exactly. But it's an escape, right? But again, it's at the end of the day, and I do think actually coming back to that is saying how my family was. It's probably why protection, right? Because my dad, I watched him even till now. My dad's almost 80 years old, and he doesn't need to do anything, but he does every if he hears my voice on the phone, and he's like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm okay." He's like, "No, no, no, we gotta figure this out." I'm like, "No, thank you so much, but you're old. Please, please just enjoy your life." And he's like, "No, no, no, we're gonna figure this out. I'm not gonna let you be like that." So I'm thankful for the support system, right? Like I'm thankful for my mom, my dad, my brother, my wife, my children. It's great. And my mother-in-law, of course, who lives
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah. Please, yeah, you can't forget the mother-in-law either, yeah. And I mean, you obviously give her a shout
Well,
out as well, right? So make sure she
I
listens to
have
this.
to. I have to. I will send it to her if she doesn't.
So the thing is, it's so nice to hear that because it's always nice to uncover the individual that's behind this business, that's behind this title. Yeah. Because his title's always in the front. Everyone sees this LinkedIn, social medias, CEO this, he's on stage here, he's doing this, he's flying here, he's flying there, he's doing all of these sort of things. Yeah. But it's nice it's refreshing to hear that what your values are, okay, and what you stick by. You're completely open and you've completely open and shared the fact that you're not afraid to admit when you're wrong, but then you're also not afraid to admit that you have a wonderful support system around you as well. And you're not afraid to ever say that you're on your own because you're not. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You've created also within your organization, within the business, of culture, right? I know this full well as well, but the culture that you've created. For some of you that you don't know, is that when I visited Doha, Dan was, you weren't there at the office, and I thought I'd just go and surprise him, and I did something crazy. I just went straight into his office, and he almost had like security there, and his staff thinking, who is this? Who is this guy? All I wanted to do is just drop a copy of my book on his desk. But they're so loyal and they were on the phone. I think you were in a meeting as well during that time when
Yes.
I walked in, and
Yeah.
they were like, they were shocked, like, what is going on here? And there was almost reluctance. Yes, I said, "Where's his office? Don't worry, Dan won't mind. He's okay. He knows who I am. It's not a problem, right?" And I even asked one of your staff members. I said, "Do you mind taking a picture of me holding the book on your desk?" And she refused. She refused. Point blank.
Listen, because there have been many situations where, and it's very nice of them, you know, like that people have come in, and I'm like, "Who's that?" They're like, "I don't know, sir." I'm like, "No, no, 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 don't, no, 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 no." So I can only imagine the fear. I was getting like 5 phone calls, like, "Sir, there's someone in your office," and I was like, "It's fine. He's my friend. He's my friend. It's okay. It's okay." They're like, he wants me to take a picture of him." I'm like, "Go ahead, please. Please take a picture."
But the thing is, it's funny because I didn't, for the benefit, I just did not rock up into your office. I did message you, right?
Yes.
Clearly, Dan didn't see his message because he was in a meeting, right? Which is absolutely fine, okay? And he had his notifications turned off as well. So he had his priorities going on there. But no, I mean,
Exactly.
it's nice because I've seen it firsthand and I've heard it. You've spoken to me previously about the people there and the banter that you have as well, right? I mean, you're a fun guy to work for, what I've seen and gathered, and I can see the respect as well, and that's what I wanted to hit on, right? The word trust and respect, because you've created that culture. You could have been and there's going to be people who's going to disagree with me on this one, but look, I frankly don't care. You could have been a right dick of a manager or a CEO, but you just said no. And it's not the fact. You do get people in organizations who's almost like standing up on their high horse, right? And they own the company. They're something special, but they forget there are people who are the mechanism, and the mechanism is what's going to create that and make that engine work. And if those moving parts, and those moving parts are your workforce, are your people, if one disappears and goes, that engine's not working, right? It's not functioning
Yeah.
fully. Okay. And that's something that you've adopted within your people. Everybody has a role to play. Yeah. And they're all respectful of all of that. And they all trust one another in that. Okay. And I honestly think that a lot of people need to take that almost ethos or mentality away and actually think to themselves, if something's wrong within your organization and you're listening to this, I guarantee you there's something that you can take away that you can actually start implementing within your organization just to change that culture, the spark from there. Yeah, wouldn't you say so? I mean, I just gave you big props there, man. But hey,
I mean, thank you. First of all, thank you for that. But no, you know what? I absolutely agree. My biggest thing I tell everyone, and I tell my the senior management in our office is, I'm like, relationships are everything. At the end of the day, you could be the CEO of Apple, right? You could wear, sorry, see, speaking of the devil, and I get a Teams call from him. Sorry. You could be the highest manager, most qualified, but who are you when you go home? Who are you on the weekend? And I always say, I'm like, be respectful of that person, because tomorrow that person's not going to be that. I mean, it's just a title. Tomorrow he's gonna be. I have that. Sorry, it's 7 p.m. almost in Dubai, so everyone's going home, and this is how loyal they are. They
we're
like to
not cutting this
stay
bit either.
until.
This part's going to be
That's
in the
fine.
podcast.
They will not leave
Yeah,
until
there you go.
I leave, which is very nice of them. But it's also because I don't have an office key. But anyway, I think the most important thing is like, you focus on the people. One thing I can tell you, 1,000,000% of the reason of what I am and what SHM is today is not because we own vessels, not because we have the best technology, not because we even have the most qualified engineers. No, but we build relationships. And that's what my whole focus is. I really enjoy spending time with my customers, with my partners, right? Like the biggest partnership we've created just recently, which 20-year contracts are for. And that didn't come from just an idea, a presentation of this is what it is. It's no, it came from a whole year of building relationship, not just with the senior guys, with the entire team, right? Like having fun, enjoying yourself. Because if I'm gonna sit there and enjoy your company, oh my God, I'm gonna do so much stuff with you. I want to call you. I don't want to just call you because I need to send you an email. Like, hey,
Yeah,
Chet,
yeah.
how are you? How's life? Oh, you're driving in the office? Yeah, me too. Listen, let's catch up for coffee and let's sort this out. Okay, cool. Done. It creates a different thing, right? I call it disarming people, but because so many people that are in senior levels, I think they're armed. They hold their cards to their chest because they're, senior. But if you disarm them and you really build a relationship, work just becomes so much easier. No egos happen, sitting down and having natural conversations, actually knowing things about each other's family.
That's such a key thing about relationship building. Okay. Like, I think we had this conversation some time ago about people being transactional.
Yes.
And there are people who are always just out and just continuously, just constantly transactional in terms of whenever they see you, they just want something in return straight away. Okay. They've not even asked how you're doing. They just want
No,
something
no, no.
straight away. Right. Yeah. You have people like that. Yeah. For granted, people are like that. But then but what I've also understood and noticed and say as well is that everybody is transactional. It's just how you approach that transaction. And if you bring in the whole relationship building side of things first and talk nothing, speak nothing about work. The first thing you should really be doing is finding what have we got both got in common, you know?
Yes,
Okay. Once you discover what you've got in common, then you go back to what you just said about disarming people. Okay. Yes, it sounds like it's a manipulation technique. Okay. But it's not, it's almost like a nice way of doing it rather than being completely manipulative in any way. But once
exactly.
you've discovered like a commonality, what you have in common, whether you have kids, married, not married, divorced, not divorced, so many things. Yeah, once you've got this thing, from the point of what is your favorite color, what car you drive, or something crazy like that, that's the key. Find what you have in common. And I say that to everybody, and it's something that I always think of whenever I go to networking events. When somebody asks me what do I do, I don't respond really back to like what I do because I don't want to give them. I'm just say I'll think of something that maybe is a hobby that I did or something before I go into what I actually do. Okay, because that could sound more boring. Yeah, and you
No,
do
no, no.
that really well.
I mean, I tell the staff all the time, I'm like, I don't care if it's anyone that visits, remember one thing from the person and tell me. And again, like you said, it's not a tactic.
Yeah.
Remember your people.
Yeah.
Like, like even the name, like, hey, chat, nice to see you again. Like what? It adds a personal touch that you automatically feel like you're at home coming
Yeah.
to see me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
and that's what we want to focus on. We want, like I said, this is why like winning with a partner, 20-year plus contracts, it embodies everything that I wanted SHM to be since I founded it, right? It's you find a partner. 20 years is longer than m- a lot of marriages, right? And that you're getting something romantic out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this you're getting
Yeah.
money, which is great. But but 20 years is a lot better than a lot of marriages. So you better like each other.
But that did not happen overnight, right?
No, of course not. Of course not. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
There you go. What you did to get to that point. Okay. This is everything. This is not even a let's have a conversation. Let's book a Zoom call or a Teams meet or something like that for an hour and a decision is made. That's not how this works. There's been stages that you've gone through to actually get to where you've got to get to, right? And to actually get those sort of, shall we say, the ink on the paper kind of thing, yeah? But you've
Yeah,
gone through so much for that, but it wouldn't have been done without the relationship that you built with these individuals.
absolutely. I mean, for example, when it comes, like I said, it's like we've built this relationship from top down, but like it's not beautiful. It's not sunshine and rainbows every day.
Hmm.
There's days where you're sitting there on the Zoom call, like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? How could you? But guess what? The next day you go for lunch and you laugh it off. And that's what's important. It's not important of like holding that grudge, but the next day you go to lunch, you laugh it off, and it becomes a joke in the future. It becomes, it's like now we joke about this kind of stuff, right? And that's what it is. And but that takes two parts, It's not just like you can't force a relationship. The other party and the other people have to also be open to creating that. And that's what it is. It's all through relationships you get referrals, right?
Yeah, so true.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they'll remember you.
Exactly.
They'll always remember you. I mean, we're all in sales, as I said. We all want to do transactional things, but there are intentions as well. I mean, but that's life. At the end of the day, that's where you run things and how you do things as well. We've all, as kids, when we're growing up, we've always planted seeds and been intentional about things. So why are we not doing? And why should we change that when we're adults? We do things in that sense. Like your daughter, for example, would have said she's obviously probably planted many seeds. Yeah, and she's like, "Dad, do you remember I said this? Do you remember I said this?" She's like, "No," but she's already planted it, and then she's already also got a backup as well for it too.
Couple of months ago, she asked me if we can move to a new house with a swimming pool. I said, yeah, sure. Every single day. When are we moving to the house? And my wife calls and goes, did you promise her a house with a swimming pool? I'm like, she remembers? She's like, yes, Daniel, she remembers. I was like, oh no. And every time we leave the driveway, she's like, are we going to the new house? I'm like, no. Yeah, so she's
See?
she's planted these things and
Yeah.
She every time she's like, I want to go to Canada. I'm like, no. Every time she's in an airplane. And obviously, you know how every time I take her out, she just grabs a toy and it's like, here you go, give it to me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. See, there are moments. There are moments there where you have to disappoint, and there's moments where you know you should not disappoint. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's for sure. So I want to just obviously we've been speaking a lot about how how things have been going on in terms of within SHM, at home, etc. But there are always things, there are always rules that you either adhere to yourself or you feel like you need to change them. Hence why this podcast is called Burn the Rules, right? But at what point did you realize the usual way of leading, okay, wasn't working for you? Because you've spoken about how you lead, but there must have been this pivotal moment that you think, I'm not doing it this way. I'm doing it this way.
That's actually a really good question, but I should have really to think about. I mean, to be honest with you, I've always thought about leading this way. I've always thought about think ever since because I'm lucky that I growing up I would spend all my summers in Dubai.
Hmm.
And and growing up you see what would I do in the summer in Dubai when back then Dubai is beautiful, always has been. But it was being 14 years old, it's a very odd age in Dubai, right? Because you're not gonna go to a play place, and you're not gonna go to a fancy dinner or a bar or a club. So I'd come to the office and I'd watch my dad. So watch him, study everything he was doing and how it was affecting him. And most importantly, I would see my dad would, when things are good, he'd be extremely happy in the office. Everyone's mood was good. Everyone was laughing, everyone was smiling. My dad was buying everyone lunch, having good days. But then when things were not good, everyone was down, right? And I saw that and how everyone was affected. And I was like, you know what? I don't want that. Like I would not lead like that. And not to say my dad's leadership was not good. My dad still is very good because he's alive. Still, thank God. But but my whole way of leadership is a freedom.
Yeah.
Controlled freedom, I think
Yeah.
would be better. Empower and honestly, like I said, I mean I say it because it's easy for me and it's the way I think mentally is protect your people, right? Because I say this, but it can be detrimental because if your people really have no idea what's going on and something does happen, like if an atomic bomb is coming here and I know and I'm protecting them by not telling them and then boom,
Mm.
it's bad. But like to a certain degree, it's like, it's let your people do their job and
Hmm.
you control what they can't,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For example, if 1 month you can't make budget, it's not you as my employee, it's not your responsibility to find money to pay the budget. And why would I put that stress on you?
Yeah.
Because then
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of focusing on how you're gonna get that vessel to work, you're
So
gonna
true.
focus on, am I gonna get salary next week or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then that's a ticking time, right? That's just an example. So that's the way of protection. That's the way of things. And I think, and that's why I think so. If you are going to answer when what the pivotal point was, is growing up in Dubai, watching my dad go through the business himself, and I guess subconsciously being like, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want people to feel that way. And yeah.
Nice. Nice. And there's one question that I always ask at this point of the podcast here as well is then what's one rule you've burnt for yourself and realized you're now in control after burning it?
One rule that you've burnt for yourself and realize
You're now in control
no
after
matter
burning it,
no matter what, be
no matter
honest.
what. Yeah.
No, no, that's what I mean. That's the rule. It's a lot of times you wanna satisfy a client, right? By saying, "No, this will happen then," right? No matter how bad it is, you have to be honest.
And would you
Because
go ahead?
I just think because I mean, what's the point of delaying? Like I've had many situations where even it could be embarrassing. But I put it on me. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell The guy would be like, "What happened?" I'd be like, "Listen, unfortunately, I did this. I apologize." But it's funny because a lot of the times when something like that happens, is the guy will look at like for I'll give an example I've used on a podcast before, so I don't mind. Sorry, I'm recycling. But
It's okay. There's no
we had a
point
vessel
reinventing the
going.
wheel.
We had a vessel going to Saudi Arabia. We finished everything for her. It was 3 months of preparation, and the vessel started leaving, heading towards Saudi Arabia. And the client was calling, calling, calling. Where's the vessel? Where's the vessel? Where's the vessel? I'm like, oh, it's coming. Now it's on the way. Boom. And the vessel stopped and was like, wait, have you guys arranged our visa for the crew? I'm like, oh no. Had to call the client back. And that's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first thing you do. You know, it takes 2 weeks. And he's like, why is it a 2 week delay? Your operations manager saying something broke down. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. We forgot to arrange crew visa. He's like, ha 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 ha. Funny. What's the real reason? I'm like, no, no, listen, this is, I'm being very honest with you. We missed the crew visa. And he's like, and it comes to a point where A, you can be angry, but B, it's like, what do I say to a guy that's honest? Right? It's
Well, he wasn't
he's
expecting
like,
that, was he?
well, yeah, definitely wasn't expecting that much honesty, but he's like, figure it out. And then he hung up. Thankfully it worked. But also at a lot of times, like, what can I do? Right? I see a lot of people like in those situations really stress themselves out to be like, well,
Mm.
no, 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 get a visa. I'm like, all right, listen, let's be honest here. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go to the visa office and knock on the door once an automated system. You're gonna update the hardware yourself. You just have to let it be. If you let it be, and there was a book about that that I've never read the book, but judging by the title, is it a book or a podcast? The Let Them Theory.
Yes. Yeah. By Mel Robbins. Yeah.
I have not read it,
Yeah. It's
but that's
brilliant.
I preach by that. I preach
Yeah.
by that. I remember like at the beginning, you know, we have sometimes when we have new people from chartering join us, they try to hide details of ships to the client. And I'm like, why? They're like, what if they bypass us? I'm like, let them. Let them. Because if they were gonna bypass you, they'll wait till they were gonna bypass you anyway. You know
So
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm gonna screw you over, chat, I don't just come to the realization of screwing you over when the contract's done. I was gonna screw you the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So I was like, show them, show your cards. That way you save so much time when they go bypass you.
Yeah.
I let
Very true.
people be to show themselves because then nobody can tell me more about you than you, right? So so that's something I live by. So I always give the people the benefit of the doubt, and I have a lot of my team always tell me they're like, you know that this is gonna go that way. Why did you do that? I'm like, because I'm not let him be who he wants to be or let them be who they want to be, but you can't control that other than just you being yours.
Yeah. So true.
So not a rule I burned, but a rule I have.
Yeah, but it's a rule that you have. I mean, but you've obviously you've understood the value and the importance of being honest, right? Especially from a business perspective as well. And when you're in going through contracts, which then leads into you obviously come into sort of very sort of pressurized scenarios as well, because it can't be just all. And there's no pun intended here. I know you don't deal with sales, but I said it's not all plain sailing, right? But there's pressure that's with this, and we have touched on a few things here, but what signals tell you you're losing control mentally or emotionally when these things happen? There's got to be something that you triggers.
I mean, the signals is if I don't feel like I can show up, right? So at the end of the day, you know, really, you know, like if you're, I'm a very, at times, I'm a very energetic person. I have a routine. I stick to the routine, wake up, gym, and everything. But if there's a day that like you're like, yeah, I can't. Like you step away from your routine, it's like, yeah, this is taking over me. Now I'm sure you're probably gonna ask, how do you overcome that? But I
I
mean,
wasn't,
at
but
the
you can answer
same,
that anyway.
I mean, I don't know, which is I put myself in the situation. I think, I mean, most of the time it passes, but if the signals is if mentally you're not there, if emotionally you're not there, then I know I'm drained. Like there's many times where like for example, when I tell you like when you don't even realize you're doing something, and if I'm at the
Mm.
dinner table with my kids and my wife, and Next thing you know, I'm just like covering my face with my hands, just over nothing, right? Just because of a random thought that hit your head that you don't know what you're gonna answer. Or like I said, my enemy, the Apple Watch, when like I'm eating and I look at a message and I'm like, oh, this again. And sometimes you have those days. Like I said, it's not always the fun, laughing, smiling, nonchalant thing. Like CEO is an actor, right? At the end of the day, you're an actor. You have to show up for your team, show strength at all times. You have to, be in a meeting and be like, yes, we're blah, 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 right? But in reality, you have like 200 things going on in your life that you can't show anyone because a lot of people will take it as weakness. Now, I don't care. I like being vulnerable. I like telling people about my life no matter how crazy it is. And sometimes that backfires on me and sometimes it doesn't because good people will be like, "Oh, that's tough." Bad people will use that against you in negotiation. But yeah, I think you have to be the CEO has to be the biggest actor. And when things are going horrible, you have to show that things are going amazing because you need to sell business and you need to show people that you're confident in your business. And when things are going great, you have the mentality of you can't show them it's going too great because then you might get evil eye, cursed, or whatever, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm waiting for my Oscar, but hopefully soon.
Sorry, don't worry. I've got some connections. Hopefully, I can put in a good word for you. But just going back to when you said, "How do you're gonna you assumed how I was going to ask you about how you overcome this, but I think you already know how, Dan, and you just do it automatically now. It's almost habitual. It's part of you. It's in your DNA because you've learned so much about you over the years. You've observed people around you to learn that, yes, I'm going to do things this way. No, I'm not going to do things this way. This doesn't work for me. It might work for you, but let me see what the impact is. But you've said it and you've summarized it well earlier on as well. And I don't think you realize it yourself is that when you think and you know that shit is hitting the fan mentally and physically for yourself, okay, you realize immediately, and this is such an important thing because not many people do realize this, is when their state drops. You're at an emotional state, a physical state, and a performance state. Yeah. You're a high performer. You want to be at this optimal state at a continuously. Okay. That's why you need your emotional and your physical state to always constantly be aligned in order for you to be at the optimal performance state. As soon as one drops, you know how to control that. And most of the time for you, it's either going to the gym, or if you don't feel like going to the gym, I'm not going to go to the gym today, but I'm going to replace that with something else. You don't just stay in bed all day,
Yeah,
right? It's not the fact that you can't because you've got two young kids. Okay. It's not saying you can't do that, but you do know what you need to do next in order to feel like, okay, if I need to take a few hours off here and not do anything and just focus on the family here, that's going to pretty much basically give me the charge that I need to get back to that state. Because I know that when I go back into the office or when I got this meeting with so and so, I need to be at the top performing state for myself. Otherwise, what else? Why am I here? Yeah. So
yeah,
you've already done that, and then you do those sort of things. And this is the reason why I'm highlighting this is because many people don't have a freaking clue. Okay. And when they don't have a clue is because they don't reach out or they don't ask the right questions to people. They feel like they just have to do everything themselves. And that's probably down to many factors. That's probably down to the fact that they feel that they don't have the right people around them. Okay. And then that's an important factor, having the right people around you. Because sometimes you have the right people, you think that you've got the right people around you when you don't. They're the toxic people. They're the people that's bringing you down. And it's actually okay to say, see you later to those guys or girls, right? And not have anybody for a little while. And then you discover more about yourself because you're on your own. And then you'll find other people. But that lonely part, the loneliness part, is probably the best place to be at some point. They say that the best leaders, okay, don't mind being in their own company. They don't need to have anybody around them. Okay, because that's the moment where they reflect, they do everything they need to do. Okay, recalibrate, reprogram themselves, they rewire themselves, everything, and then they basically know where to go next. You went on that 4 hour ride. You did exactly the
Yeah,
same thing. Yeah. Right. And you're doing those things without even realizing. And that's probably down to, right, your dad as well, right? Hey, this is
yeah,
not a therapy session, but it's what you basically said, that you learned so much from him that has led you to do these sort of things. Yeah. Because clearly your dad was a great leader. He is a great leader. Shouldn't say was, sorry. He is a great leader. Yeah. But do you see
I'll
what I
make
mean?
sure when I call. I'll make sure when I call him what you did. Tell him what you did to him.
Oh, you can just send him this podcast as well.
No, 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 no. But I agree with you. I actually never thought of it that way, which is interesting because truth be told, that like I've never thought of myself as a good leader, right? Like I'm not sitting here being like something that, but no, it's like it's the same thing. Everyone has their vision of a leader, and I have a vision of a leader too. But I mean, I don't. You have an idea, but like not exactly what it is. But like sometimes when hearing that, it is a good feeling, right? I because you sometimes you're so caught up in how lost you are in the whole thing, where you don't even
Exactly
notice
that.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's a really, really powerful message, that you said, that how you're lost in a lot of things. Yeah, because it can be, and it is. We hear it, and we're hearing it from you too, that it can be lonely at the top. But there's a reason why. Also, you're at the top. So you have to accept the fact that is lonely, but then you need to do something about it. You don't just sit there and do nothing.
yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
when you have people out there and everything, oh, but you don't know what it's like being a CEO. I said, listen, I do know what it's like to be a CEO. Thank you. We've got lots of friends who are CEOs, but they don't say what you're saying, right? They're figuring things out still because they're around the right people. Maybe now you need to think about deciding, are these the people that I need to be around? Are they the cause of what's causing this whole mental, emotional rift that's going on inside you? Yeah. But you've done it yourself. You've created that culture within your organization, which is
My
awesome.
my favorite thing is when my other executive colleagues in the industry always we go out and have dinner and tea, but we always talk about they're like, "Oh, you know what? I wish I had my own company." And I'm like laughing. And I'm like, "I wish I was getting a salary every month that was set at the package that you get. I would kill for that any day." People don't realize people always think the grass is greener on the other side.
They do.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
and a lot of them, and a lot of people don't realize as well is you climb up the corporate ladder so far, it's not much higher than the CEO. What do you do next? CEOs rarely become CEOs in other companies, right? It's more of a then you do get to that level of starting your own business, and then you realize, grass is not always greener on the other side. And even for me, I can sit here and say, "Oh my God, I wish I had a high level job," but then a month later, I'd be like, "You know what? I miss the freedom I had as having my own company,
Yeah.
and the
There
fact
is
that I
that.
could take a day off because I'm stressed out, or I can, do all that." Everyone subconsciously, we always think that everything's better the other way.
But look, remember, freedom comes with risk. Yeah. Okay. And you got to be a really big risk taker to have the freedom that you want by being completely autonomous in owning your own business, to having your days the way you want them, etc. But there are moments where you can't have the days where you want them. They're quite demanding as well, because you're the decision maker. You are everything. There is nobody else that can make the decision apart from you. And you've basically put yourself in that position because that's what you want. But it's a risk. A risk is freedom. Okay. But with all of those risks that you get to get freedom as well, it's also freaking hard work too, right? People do not take it for granted that running your own thing is just doesn't magically appear. Okay. Even if you inherited something, it's still hard work. Yeah. Yes, it's easier, but it's still hard work, should we say,
Yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're not you're not if you inherited something, you're just basically on the grass, you're not in the mud. Okay, right? So you've got those seeds already there which are sown. But yeah, it's very important, and it's how you manage all those things personally as well. So what's one thing that I was going to say, there's a part where we've been talking about things, and we're going to wrap up shortly as well here as well. What's the part you don't usually say out loud to yourself, where you feel that, you know what, I don't want nobody to hear this about you.
What do I not say out loud, but
Yeah.
say it to myself?
Yeah.
Or what do I not
Yeah.
say? It's a good question. So like, what do I not say out loud, but I only
Yeah.
say it to myself?
Hmm.
We're fucked. Basically, sorry to say, but basically, a lot of times I've caught myself and I'm like, oh, don't say it out loud. And then in many situations at times, or how am I gonna do that? Like there's you have to instill confidence, but then in your mind, you don't even know how you're gonna get there. Right? And that is probably the two most common things.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So with everything that we've basically said, what's one move our listeners can make this week that you'd say? What's one thing that you think that they can actually do? They should do?
It's funny because I'd love for your listeners to do this because I have a lot of people that are uncomfortable. So like my wife is very I think that this may sound funny, but I tell everyone to do this, and I think it completely changes you as a person. It could be a small act, right? But it creates such confidence. My wife has a lot of she doesn't like, and a lot of people don't like confrontation. But as a leader, you have to have confrontation. You have to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Go to any store near you and ask for something for free. I do it all the time. And do it once a day. Just are you're not gonna get anything, but the fear of that ridiculous request will go away and you'll be uncomfortable. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, go. She's like, I don't like doing this. I don't like. I'm like, listen, go to a store. She's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, go to a store. Go to Starbucks. You might get a cookie.
Yeah.
If someone comes up to you and goes, Chet, do you have anything for free you can give me? You're gonna be so shocked that you're like, here. But I've done it, and now my wife is as uncomfortable as she is. She's always confident, right? I'm not saying she wasn't confident. My wife's a very confident person, but like in those kind of situations, and you know what's funny? When I actually, I'm not original at it, but I've read this once, and I was like, this has to be a joke, and actually, it works. There's days
Wow.
where I'll be like, hey, can I have this for free at a random store? I've gotten probably 2 out of 50 times I got something for free, but you know, for your listeners, they could do it at Subway because Subway will always give you a free cookie by accident. So, because it's the only thing. Because it's funny because every time I've done that at Subway, they've felt so uncomfortable. They don't even know how to respond. But again, it's at the same time, I tell people to do that. I even tell people in the office to do that because it mentally gives you so much confidence that you can
Mm,
ask anyone for anything. You can say anything to anyone,
I
right?
love it. Wow.
If you have the if you get so used to doing that and you have the confidence in randomly asking someone that you have no business asking for something for free.
I might try that over the weekend. Or I might just tell my wife, I've got a great piece of advice that Dan just basically said, right? And he wants you to do this. And they were like, what? No, seriously, we're gonna try that. That's
Tomorrow
nice.
you'll be posting a Rolls Royce on your
Oh,
Instagram just because of my advice.
yeah, nice.
Yeah,
I'll let
try
you
it
drive it.
somewhere good.
Yeah, I'll let you drive it. All right. Thank you for that. All right. So before we wrap up, gonna do a quick game. The game's called 10 and Done. Yeah. So 10 questions, short answers, no thinking. Yeah.
Short answer, like one word, or
One word,
yeah, first thing that comes
just
to mind.
first thing that comes to mind. Yeah. Okay. So here's the 10 questions that we're going to fire out to you. What's your most used phrase at work? I should know the answers to
I
these.
thought about how I can change it,
No, it's
but
cool.
I apologize.
No, no need to apologize. This is the truth. Okay. What's a habit you've kept for years? What's one thing you're irrationally strict about?
Showing up on time.
What's your go-to reset after a long day?
Call of Duty.
What's a book you've gifted more than once?
48 Laws of Power.
Oh, it's a great book. I've got it right at the back there. It's amazing. What's a tool or app you'd hate to lose?
Which app?
What's a tool or app you'd hate to
ChatGPT.
lose? What's your most underrated skill?
It's a great question. As a person that doesn't like talking about himself, I will tell you I'm funny. I'm funny. And as you know, I'm funny, but it's
I
still
can contest
underrated.
to that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's funny. He's very funny. I'm just thinking about what you just said there. Yeah, you're funny.
Yeah.
What's something people often get wrong about you?
That everything is always going right. Everyone's like, oh, he has no stress, for example, that I'm a person
Yeah,
that lives with and no stress.
yeah. What's a small luxury you never skip? Can't say gym. You've already said it.
Breakfast,
And
which
cakes.
comes after the gym. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, cakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
We know
course.
you're a cake lover. Well, I know you're a cake lover. What's one thing, and the last question is, what's one thing you're looking forward to in the next 90?
One thing, what will the next 90 days be? See, this one I have to think about. February, March, April, May. You know what? I'm finally looking forward to being able to have a really good family vacation in the summer this
Yes.
year.
Nice.
I haven't planned it, but that's a promise I made to myself because last year we went to Canada, and that's not a family vacation, that's work because you're seeing family, friends, everything. But I want to take a real good family vacation this year.
So yeah, now if your wife's going to be listening to this, she's going to be remembering this one as well. Yeah.
Sending it
Okay.
to her right away.
I love it. All right, Dan. Where can people find you and connect with you, buddy?
LinkedIn only. I mean, I have my Instagram, but that's only for
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, you're gonna find him on LinkedIn. You're gonna find him on LinkedIn, everyone. Thankfully, I'm a friend of his on Instagram as well. So, but LinkedIn, you'll find everything, and I'll put the link directly on the show notes as well here. And what's one thing you want people to take from this episode?
That there is no generalization idea of a CEO or a leader. Everyone has their own way. Like there is no example, right? Everyone leads their own way, and it's okay to be original, in my opinion.
That's amazing. So, well, Dan, thank you so much for obviously being here, and we can call it there, and that's a wrap.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Before you go, take a moment to think about what stayed with you from this conversation. Not what sounded impressive, but what challenged how you think, decide, or lead. See, leadership isn't something you wait for, it's something you practice internally, daily, and deliberately. And remember this, you can't lead a life that matters by following rules that don't. If this episode gave you perspective, share it with someone who's ready to take more control of how they lead and perform. And subscribe wherever you listen and keep redefining leadership on your own terms.